The old convent was always cold.
I felt it in my bones, a chill that went deeper than the stone walls and drafty corridors. Tonight, it felt different.
The shadows seemed deeper, stretching out like grasping claws. A low hum vibrated in the air, barely audible but ever present.
I clutched my rosary, my heart thumping against my ribs. The air grew heavy, thick with unspoken dread. A whisper of movement, a fleeting shadow at the edge of my vision.
She turned quickly, but there was nothing there.
It must be the wind, a trick of the aging building.
But deep down, a primal fear bloomed in her chest. Something wasn't right. Something lingered in the shadows of the abbey, watching her, waiting. The next day, the unease lingered. Sister Agatha couldn't shake the feeling of being watched, followed.
Objects moved without explanation. Doors creaked open, then slammed shut. Cold spots appeared in the hallways, sending shivers down my spine.
One evening, while sorting through the convent's archives, she stumbled upon an old journal. The leather cover was cracked and faded, the pages brittle with age. The handwriting was elegant, filled with swirling loops and flourishes.
The name on the cover sent a shiver down my spine. Sister Catherine.
As she read, a sense of dread washed over her. Sister Catherine's words painted a picture of fear and despair. She spoke of strange occurrences, of being followed, of a darkness that clung to her. Then the entries stopped abruptly.
My fingers trembled as I turned the pages, searching for an explanation. There was none.
Sister Catherine's fate remained a mystery, lost to the passage of time, or so she thought. Driven by a growing sense of urgency, Sister Agatha delved deeper into the convent's history. She discovered records of Sister Catherine's disappearance, shrouded in rumour and speculation.
Some whispered of an illness, others of a broken heart. But one detail stood out, a chilling whisper from the past.
Sister Catherine had been accused of a transgression, a grave sin against the Church. She was stripped of her title, her dignity, and locked away in the convent's depths.
As I pieced together the fragments of the past, I felt a growing connection to the vanished nun. I imagined her fear, her desperation, her pleas for understanding falling on deaf ears.
A terrible suspicion began to form in her mind. Sister Catherine hadn't left the convent. She was still there, trapped between this world and the next. Her spirit, unable to find peace, lingered within the very walls that had imprisoned her in life. The air grew heavy as Sister Agatha stood in the abandoned wing of the convent. It was here, according to the records, that Sister Catherine had been confined. The silence was thick with anticipation, broken only by the sound of her own breath.
Sister Catherine?
A cold breeze swept through the hallway, extinguishing her candle and plunging her into darkness. And then she saw it, a shimmering figure, translucent and ethereal, hovering at the far end of the corridor.
Sister Catherine?
Sister Agatha's voice trembled, a mixture of fear and compassion. The figure turned, and for a moment, their eyes met. Sister Catherine's face was etched with sorrow, her eyes filled with an unspeakable longing. Sister Agatha knew what she had to do. She spent days researching the archives, meticulously documenting the truth of Sister Catherine's unjust treatment.
She presented her findings to the Mother Superior, her voice unwavering as she recounted the tragic tale.
The convent held a special service, a solemn ceremony of apology and remembrance for Sister Catherine. They acknowledged the wrongs committed against her, offering forgiveness and seeking redemption for their past transgressions.
As the last notes of the hymn faded into the rafters, Sister Agatha felt a shift in the atmosphere. The oppressive weight that had hung over the convent lifted, replaced by a sense of peace and tranquility.
The convent was no longer a place of fear. The shadows seemed less menacing. The cold spots vanished. Sister Agatha knew that Sister Catherine's spirit had finally found peace, released from the chains of her earthly torment. But her work wasn't over.
She made it her mission to preserve the memory of Sister Catherine, to ensure that her story was never forgotten. She would be a voice for the voiceless, a guardian of the truth.
As Sister Agatha walked the hallowed halls of the Abbey, she carried the weight of the past with a newfound sense of purpose. She was no longer just a nun, but a keeper of stories, a protector of souls. And in the silence of the convent, she could almost hear Sister Catherine's whisper, a grateful murmur carried on the wind.